Action. All right. Yeah. So might as well talk about this. I don't know if it's gonna do any good or anything, but I had a really humbling experience tonight. Uh, I talked with a buddy of mine. We've only been, friends for maybe like a year and a half or two, and not like real close friends, but pretty good friends, as far as that goes. Is, and last week I called him up, and because he's offered before, for me to, he kind of gets on me sometimes. You never call me and this and that, and he's, and I kind of keep to myself. So, but I decided to take him up on his offer. So last week, finally, I called him and said I wanted to hang out, man, because I wanted to talk about shit, and which is why I do this channel, because I can't really talk about stuff a lot of times. And he seems like, the kind of guy where it would be okay for me to just talk about shit, real shit, as opposed to the weather and fucking all this whatever. So he penciled me in for Wednesday tonight. So I went over there, and it ended up being a really humbling experience for me. He started telling me a lot of shit, man, and he was special ops military, and he was telling me all kinds of fucking stories and shit about that. And it was like the kind of special ops that he was the shit they make movies about, Jason Bourne kind of shit. And it's not. He's telling the truth, and I didn't know that about him, and it was very humbling to me because like the shit that he's done and seen and stuff is makes me feel like this big, by comparison. Like he's totally the real deal when it comes to all that stuff, and he's like one of the best in the world kind of shit. Like, so and then he told me a story, something that has happened to him that's just by my, to me it looks like it's probably one of the top 2 or 3 hardest things he's ever dealt with in his life, and that was only about 7 or 8 years ago. His son was killed by a fucking cop, and he, when it happened, he totally lost it. Like what had happened was that his son, I believe he was in his mid to late 20s and was visiting, and he'd only been visiting for a couple, 2 or 3 days, and he went to the store to get a pack of cigarettes, and my buddy told me that after he left, you know, like 5-10 minutes after he left, my buddy got this really strong instinct, like gut feeling that something really bad had just happened. And he said it was like a getting punched in the fucking gut, like it was like lightning fucking striking, and just boom, and he knew something was wrong, but he didn't know what. And so he got in his truck. He was at his office, and his son had only been gone for 5 or 10 minutes to go get cigarettes. And so he drove up to the area because he had some instinctual feeling it might have something to do with his son. And when he pulled up, he saw all the cops and all the lights and all the shit. And so he pulled over and he got out of his truck. And he saw the yellow tarp, and he knew what that means when there's a yellow tarp. And so he got out of his truck and he started walking towards the scene. Long story short, it was his son, and a cop had killed him. And how it happened is the cop was driving drunk, and on OxyContin. And so when my buddy got to the scene and he saw the yellow tarp and he got out of his truck and he walked towards the scene, a cop was immediately stopping him. And he told me that he told the cop that if the cop doesn't get out of his way, he's going to fuck him up. And he's like, well, why do you want to enter this scene, into the crime or this thing or whatever? And he says, because I think that body under that yellow tarp is my son. And then immediately the cop stood away, and my buddy started walking towards the scene. And one of his friends was a fireman, and the fire truck was there, and he was there on the scene. And he got in front of my friend and said, dude, you don't want to look. And he said, yes, that is your son, but you don't want to look. And then my buddy's like, no, I have to fucking identify the body. I'm gonna look. And so then he forced his way in, and he says he regrets looking at it because it was really, really bad. Okay. And then what happened is, the cop that killed him was right there. And the cop looked at him and he said, I'm so sorry about your son. And my friend looked at him and he said, well, why the fuck would you be sorry? And then that's when he told my friend that he was the one who killed my friend's son. And then my friend doesn't remember anything else and woke up in a fucking jail cell. And it's because he fucked that cop up. He went into a straight up blackout and totally fucked the dude up. And because my friend is like special ops, Marine shit, he put him in a hospital for like 3 months or more. Like, he fucked him up really bad because he knows how, because he's like super highly trained special ops military, and he just fucked him up, like, boom. So then he's in jail, and so and then so what happened is he has friends that work at the hospital where the cop was, because he put him in the hospital. And they told him, they said, dude, when that guy came in, his fucking breath smelled like he'd been drinking. Like, his breath smelled of alcohol so fucking bad. Like, he was like, and so long story short on that, because he's a cop, they swept that whole fucking thing under the rug. So they made sure that when they did the test, that they waited long enough for the alcohol to get out of his system, which only takes a couple days. And when they did the blood test was only for alcohol or something. And so they rigged the fucking test so that it would show the cop was clean. So it's the thin blue line, where cops protect each other. And so, they have immunity and impunity. The cops can get away with murder and and nothing's ever going to happen. So that's what happened. The cop fucking killed him and got away with it. And so he's telling me this story, and I've heard stories of family members getting murdered by, people like doctors and hospitals murdering family members, and cops murdering family members and getting away with it. Like, I've heard these stories before. Me personally, I've not experienced anything like that because I don't have a family. I've never had a family, so but it happens, and it was, so the whole experience was very humbling because I've known this guy for a couple of years, but I didn't know all these details, like that he's him being special ops and shit, and he's got the receipts to prove it and everything. So it's not, and so it was a very humbling experience for me because I'm not some special ops guy who he's literally like one of the top motherfuckers during his time. One of the top motherfuckers in the world, dude. Like, literally, like, total black ops kind of shit. Where they take their dog tags, that way if they're ever caught or found, that they have no record at all. Like his record, because they blacked out his everything about his person. Like, he was no longer he was a ghost. And so when years later, when his record would get pulled up, it would just be like a bunch of black. You would see the word "the," and you would see the word "of," and you would see the word like "it" or whatever, but everything just all blacked out. That's how insane of a fucking military career this guy had. They blacked out every fucking thing. Total black ops. Crazy motherfucker. So I just spent a couple hours hanging out with him, and it was a really humbling experience, because it makes whatever stories I have by comparison seem like nothing. It's like whatever. And this guy is super humble. He's not a braggart. Like I said, I've known him for 2 years, and didn't know anything about any of this stuff, And but really, really wise man, and really, it's like, sometimes you just meet people, they're like rock stars or something, and you're just like, well, what the fuck? What am I even doing here, I'm a nobody compared to this guy. Why would I, why am I even in this person's presence, But he's a super chill guy. But I just wanted to do a video on that because, because if I don't do it now, I won't do a video on it. And, I had some things that I wanted to talk to him about. And I brought some of it to his attention, but I spent a lot more time listening. Like, my purpose for being there, unbeknownst to me, was to listen to him, not to talk, but to listen. And so I didn't do a lot of talking. And it blew my mind, man. It was fucking, sometimes people can blow your mind, But But anyways, yeah, and I'm glad he told me that story about his son, because even though, like, these things that I've experienced recently that are really mind-blowing, and have been really challenging for me as far as how do I function in society, after seeing what I've seen, and this and that, and having a talk with him and listening to him, realize, there are people out in the world, dude, that are going through insane fucking shit, and have gone through and seen insane fucking shit. And and they're persevering despite these impossible scenarios. Despite that, they haven't let it completely destroy them, and literally, like, I don't know how like, a lot of when talking to him, my questions were like, well, how did you not fucking kill that guy? Like, how do you even get through something like that? Like, what? Like a cop killing your son like that. Like, how does a person even persevere through these things, People are resilient, I guess, I mean, so anyways, so it's nice to not feel alone, that there's other people out that are going through really insane shit, and by comparison is humbling, where I can sit there and be humbled by it. Like, man, I thought my shit was crazy. Like this guy, and listening to him talk about his briefly discuss, like, is a really cool thing. Like, a former special ops, like, actually talking about things it's like a really cool thing to have somebody confide in you like that, where they'll tell you about special ops missions and shit. And I'm telling you, he had the receipts to prove it and everything. It was all, like, right there. I mean, it's just insane, And so anyways, yeah, people, these are just part of life. Shit like what happened to him with his son. These things are just a part of life. And there's nothing he can do. I mean, outside of kill that cop, which he could have easily done. I mean, what do you do, And I think he's a very wise man to have not killed that cop. And even the whole thing about putting the cop in the hospital, he went into a complete blackout. He remembers hitting the cop one time, and then everything went black. And then he woke up in a fucking in a jail cell. And he hit that cop more than once. He put the cop in the hospital for at least 3 months. Nearly killed him. And as a result, got an attempted murder charge. But I wonder, how do people, I hope that I have the grace to, so this event that happened to me is kind of a situation like that, only, of course, it's not. His story is, in many ways, it's far worse than mine. But it's that same kind of thing where it's like you're in this situation where it's basically an impossible situation, and all you have is hate. That's all you have. And the only solution that seems that there is to kill a motherfucker. And how does a person get through that without, going postal and shit? And I'm glad that he didn't kill that cop. And he's glad that he didn't kill that cop too. Because if he killed that cop, I would have never met him. We wouldn't even be friends. And he's glad he didn't kill that cop too. But listening to him talk is like, this is a long process of fucking healing and all kinds of shit. And he admits that to this day, he hates that fucking cop. And that he will probably hate that guy for the rest of his life. And when, hate is just another one of these words where, I thought I knew what hate was until I experienced it. And I'm 50 years old. And I only truly experienced hate for the first time 2 years ago. And it almost killed me. Hate is a fucking poison. Hate is a fucking poison. And but there are situations where there is nothing but hate, like him admitting that he hates that cop to this day, and he probably will for the rest of his life. And he just has to deal with it, in a healthy way. And he has. He's you don't become like a special black ops motherfucker for nothing. You know what I'm saying? And so that's probably, that experience has helped him get through, tactfully. But he's not proud that he hates that cop. And he is not proud that he will probably hate that guy for the rest of his life. He will never not hate that guy. And he's not proud of that when he says that. He's ashamed. So anyways, again, I just wanted to do this video because if I don't do it now, I won't do it. And so I just wanted to put that out there for what it's worth. I mean, to me, it was a humbling experience, We all go through shit, but there's somebody out there who's going through something even crazier, And my dad used to tell me that. He used to say, no matter how good you are, there's always someone out there better than you. So anyways, see ya.